The Fujifilm X-M5 is here and I've been able to test it quite well during the launch. I also got to try the new XF16-55mm f2.8 Mark II and XF500mm f5.6 lenses. I will tell you what I think, what it can do, and of course show test footage.
You'll always be the one I want at midnight. You'll always steal my breath away, yeah. You'll always be my heart.
The Fujifilm X-M5 is the smallest interchangeable lens camera in the X series and has some unique and powerful functions for a very good price. The question is, does this camera make sense in the current lineup and who is it really for? According to Fujifilm, the X-M5 is not really the successor to the 2013 X-M1, as it is a completely different camera and now uses 5th generation technology, hence the name X-M5. The X-M1 was a camera designed to be a budget-friendly option sitting below the XE line, but it never really found its audience. The X-M5 takes a lot of technology found in cameras like the XS20, but pumps the brakes on performance, and later I'll tell you why. The X-M5 should be seen as an upgrade over the Fujifilm X-T Mark II, competitor to the 2024 Sony ZV-E10 Mark II, while it sits under the Fujifilm XS20. Before I get to the price, I first want to tell you the main specs, because the X-M5 has a classic and retro design with a vari-angle touchscreen and a 26.1 megapixel sensor, which is the same sensor as the XS20 uses. But where the XS20 has a flash, the X-M5 does not.
No one with flash.
Cheese!
The sensor is backside illuminated, BSI, meaning light is being processed more effectively. Long story short, more light reaches the sensor and less information goes to waste. Together with the up-to-date X Processor 5, which you can also find in pro Fujifilm cameras, the X-M5 lets you record film up to 6.2K 30fps, 4K 60 fps or UHD 240 fps. For extra creativity, you can use one of the 20 film simulations, which you can use in both photography and film. And more on those later. So now you have a gist of what this camera can do, and you might find it quite impressive. You can get this powerhouse for only
$1 million.
No. 899 euros for the body and 999 euros for the camera with the kit lens, which has optical stabilization built in. So yes, finally a powerful Fujifilm camera you can pick up for around $1,000. My first impression of the X-M5, which comes in gray and black, is that it is a very light and compact camera, weighing just 355 grams, including card and battery. And this is good news for the traveling content creator. Of course, to keep it small, you will be needing a smaller lens, like the kit lens, and you still get a backpack filled with gear, as you will need extra batteries, cards, lenses, and other accessories. Just like with the Nikon ZF, I am not too impressed with the undeep grip. There are accessories to get a better grip, but even then you don't have that nice grip of the XS20. Of course, a deep grip would make this camera less compact, but it will already be less compact as you need to add a lens. The press photo of it fitting in the pocket of your trousers is therefore a little bit deceiving. We received the X-M5 at the beginning of the presentation, and that's where I took all the menu shots. After, I went outside to film in all resolutions and take photos, noticing the battery was already dying after an hour or so. I did abuse that camera though. And even though the camera should consume 20% less energy, it's always a good idea to bring a second battery. This camera is made for video content creators, as it has a special vlog mode on the dial, which will bring up a different interface with the most important buttons. Film has a maximum resolution of 6.2K 30fps in 3:2 ratio, which is open gate, and 4K 60fps in 16 and 17:9 ratio, all with a maximum bitrate of 200 Mbps. And this is lower than the 360 Mbps on the XS20, but you can set the color sampling to 422 10-bit in all resolutions, which is impressive for a camera in this price range. If this is too technical for you, just know that the quality of this video is actually very high.
Oh, so the files are gonna be huge and don't transfer fast?
Well, it is possible to set the bitrate all the way down to 25 or 8 Mbps, meaning you have very small files for easy and quick wired and wireless transfers to your phone. Editing with heavier files will need a faster computer and won't be possible on a smartphone. The video files can be transferred directly to the cloud or from the camera to your phone via USB-C Type-C cable, so you can edit and upload from your phone. It is very cool. F-Log and F-Log 2 are available as well, meaning you get flat, almost colorless images with greater dynamic range made for color grading in post-production. Good to know is that 4K 24 FPS will use the full APS-C sensor without crop. But filming in 4K
60 FPS.
will get you a crop of exactly 1.18 times. So if you feel like buying this vlogging camera for walking and talking, make sure you have a lens that might stabilize. So you know what's cool? It has a 9:16 function where you can record 15, 13 or 1 minute videos perfectly for TikTok, and it's all straight, it's ready to upload. So I got 3 seconds left and it should stop automatically. These full HD social ready shorts are recorded when the camera is set to vlog mode, but it's also possible to film 9:16 vertical videos for longer periods of time. In that case, you have to put the camera in the normal video mode and select the 9:16 option. You might wonder, why is this handy? Well, for 2 reasons. 1, you don't have to crop the videos yourself, and 2, you don't have to keep the camera vertical, but can keep it comfortable horizontally. As you film, you get active feedback of the result, so you can always keep yourself in the middle of the frame. Overheating can always become a problem when using high resolutions and bit rates, causing the camera to shut off for a while. And this can be quite annoying when filming longer shots, like with interviews. I, for example, had this problem with the Sony ZV-E10 Mark II during the shoot of a small concert. Fujifilm integrated long play modes, which produce less warmth and should let it film for at least 60 minutes. It is even possible to use an external fan, which you can screw onto the back. In general, I think the video quality, combined with the kit lens, is quite good. The sensor and base quality is the same quality of cameras like the X-T5 and the XS20. Of course, pairing a high quality lens, like the new 16-55mm I will talk about in a bit, will boost your image quality. To make life easier, Fujifilm decided to add a dedicated dial for the 20 film simulations. Film simulations simulate the colors and effects of the original Fujifilm analog film rolls. A new one that we could also find on the X106 is Riella Ace, and I'm filming in that film simulation right now. But if you would like to have it a little bit more cinematic, you also have Eterna Cinema. The cinematic one is this one, Eterna Cinema. As you can see, it's a little bit less saturated. And the good thing is that film simulations can be used on both videos and photos. If you take photos in JPEG plus RAW, the film simulation info is captured in the RAW data file and can be fully adjusted in, for example, Lightroom. There are 3 built-in microphones, 1 for surround sound and 2 directional ones. Right now with surround microphones, but this camera has 3 microphones. Now I'm using the surround sound, so if I would turn around, the sound should be equal. In the microphone menu, you can choose where to point the microphones to, which is very handy when you record yourself in selfie mode or when you speak whilst filming and just want to record your own voice. Oh, cool shirt, huh? You can get this Cameradeals design and many other designs and products like cups and hats via the shop by clicking here. Just click it. The XM5 has a clickable joystick and now has a front command dial as well. This front dial you can push in order to select a function. This function could be the f-stop, ISO or film simulation. And it is good you can turn this off as it is very sensitive and kind of annoying. During my test I was quickly changing the ISO with that front wheel, and then I noticed I also changed the f-stop and added a film simulation because I accidentally pressed it as well and changed the function of the wheel itself. I don't understand why the dial has film simulations under that button by default, as it has an actual dedicated dial for that. But again, you can turn that off. Next to the dedicated film simulation dial, which you can't assign to anything else, it has the PSAM dial and an extra dial you can assign to anything you'd like. There's a quick menu button on top, a separate video record button, which I find a little bit difficult to press, and of course the clickable joystick at the back. The microphone input is placed at the top back, which is an interesting location.
Interesting.
As the body is small, it seemed there was was no space at the side anymore, so they placed it in such a way a microphone cable should not hang in front of the screen and dials. It's actually great to see it has a headphone jack as well, as there are some vlog cameras out there without one, which is somewhat pointless, of course. It has a micro HDMI output as well, which can output 6.2K 30fps to an ATEMOS or Blackmagic external recorder. It's cool it has it, but it's a very interesting choice for a beginner-friendly camera.
Interesting.
Fujifilm placed the card slot next to the battery and supports UHS I cards. And this is also why high bit rates and big buffers for continuous shooting are not supported, because for that you would need a UH2 card and card slot that support that. The 3-inch LCD touchscreen is quite bright, big, and has a resolution of 1 megapixel. In the vlog mode, it has a different, easy accessible interface with the most common options. Did you know you can also use the touchscreen to install up to 4 extra FN buttons? This is great as this camera doesn't have any dedicated FN buttons, so it gives you extra options. I'll continue talking about the camera in a bit because Fujifilm also announced 2 new lenses, with one of them being perfect for film and both of them being great for Fujifilm's high-resolution sensors. First, I want to talk about the new XF500mm f5.6 telelens. The first thing I noticed when I picked it up is how light it is, just 1335 grams. So I tried the XF500mm on the XM5, which is clearly overkill, but in terms of weight it would actually work. In terms of workflow, it's better to use a camera with in-body stabilization like the X-T5 or the XH series. The images are very sharp from edge to edge and you have lots of options to play around with. Think of AF lock, AF on, focus limiter and calling in presets. If you use this 500mm lens on an APS-C sensor, you get a 762mm equivalent, meaning this is perfect for bird and wildlife spotting. For anything else, you might get too close onto the subject. Price?
1 million.
No, I'm not gonna do that. Okay. 3,399 euros. And I'm also using the brand new XF16-55mm f2.8 Mark II lens. I'm walking here also with the brand new 500mm lens of Fujifilm as well. An all-round lens which is smaller and 200 grams, 37%, lighter than its predecessor. It has a new glass configuration including 4 aspherical, 3 ED and 1 super ED element. Special is the aperture D-click, where you can choose between smooth and clickable f-stop, which is something filmmakers like to use. It is a red badge lens, meaning it belongs to the high-end quality end segment. And the price? 1,394 euros.
1 million.
Both of these lenses are weather resistant, and pairing the XF16-55 with the XM5 would actually turn it into a proper C-roll cinema camera. But it is great for photography as well. And talking about photography, the XM5 camera is more than a vlogging camera, as it has the same sensor and image processor as Big Brother XS20. You can take JPEG, RAW and 10-bit high photos. What is high? Well, check out my XS20 review. It hosts both a mechanical and electronic shutter, which reaches a shutter speed of up to 1/32,000th of a second, which is more than you ever need. Continuous photography is possible up to 30 frames per second with a maximum buffer of 128 photos in JPEG. 30 frames per second is impressive and handy for those occasional fast-moving subjects. But as you can see, buffer size is quite some smaller compared to the more expensive XS20, though it performs way better than the old X-T30 Mark II. Autofocus is always tricky, as the effectiveness of it depends on your settings. It is possible to use the AI-powered autofocus with 117 or 425 autofocus points. Autofocus does its work very well. I can see my eye is being picked up all the time. And that, of course, is good news. It has the latest AF algorithms and subject detection, meaning it detects animals, birds, cars, planes, motorbikes, and of course the face, head and eyes of humans. I do think the autofocus works quite well, but from time to time it was struggling a little bit to find the subject. But the autofocus and the video touch tracking are a few of the things I need to test extensively during my proper review. So if you would like to see that video, please subscribe. For a video-oriented camera, it is too bad internal image stabilization is missing, but adding this would make the camera both bigger, heavier and pricier. But of course, it is possible to use the electronic stabilization together with lenses with stabilization built in. And as long as you're not planning on running while filming yourself, you should be good. That the XM5 has no viewfinder is, of course, done on purpose. This is a video-oriented camera, and a rangefinder style EVF would make this camera again heavier and mostly more expensive. Though sometimes I actually like to film through my EVF as it gives more steadiness, grip, and it's better for framing. I wouldn't expect it on a camera like this, but it is not weather sealed. Though most cameras can withstand a tiny splash of water, just don't keep it out in the rain too long. Fujifilm said this camera is not really a budget beginner model, but more for the content creators who outgrow their phone or just want more. It is for the people who find the design appealing and want to have the touch and feel of a real retro camera. In a way, that is a bit the same as a beginner model, right? At the other hand, it can do some things the XS20 does, it just has less buttons and some restrictions in speed and high-end quality. I think this is a suitable camera for people with a good eye but not the technical knowledge, and if you do want to dive into the tech part, it's actually possible as well. And don't forget, this is just the initial review based on a few hours of using and testing, and soon I'll be able to test the XM5 properly. So yes, this upgrade to the X-T30 Mark II does make sense, especially with the Sony ZV-E10 Mark II as a competitor and the XS20 as an upgrade.